Hey guys, what's going on? So this is the power of choice. The power of choice is, one of the most fundamental powers that we have, as a human being with free will in the world is choice. If you remember in The Matrix was, I love the Matrix series, but if you remember, when Neo meets the architect, and he's in the room, and there's all these different, scenarios that could happen in any moment. It's basically what he's watching himself on these TV screens, and there's all these different options that can happen in that very moment. And the architect says, what is the anomaly? The anomaly is choice. And Neo has this epiphany that, choice is the problem. Well, he says that because choice, being able to choose, is fundamentally what sets us apart from every other species. It's what sets us apart from the animal kingdom. And although animals have choice instinctually, human beings have choice philosophically. And so, what that means is that we have the ability to choose. We have the ability to choose who we are, what we want to create. The implications are so far-reaching that we just have this ability to choose that, it's been debated over centuries, and how, fate versus destiny occurs, and, how, the theosophical debate arises from, do humans have free will versus, does God know everything that you're going to do, and, so there's a very intrinsic philosophical aspect to having the ability to choose. But let me tell you why this is so important. You can make a single choice that can change your entire life. And if you can do it once, you can do it again. So if you're able to start making good choices and understand the impact of every choice that you make, and understand the negatives or the drawbacks of poor choices and poor decisions, then you have the ability to essentially drive your destiny. Once you understand how choices rule your destiny, you can use your choices, you can use what you choose to ultimately drive your results, to ultimately drive what you achieve. So achievement is the result of choosing to accomplish something or choosing to do something. It starts with a choice. So just like everything exists, like everything that exists today physically that's man-made, first started in somebody's mind, right? It first existed in someone's mind as an option, as an imagination, or, when you look at a piece of architecture or technology, or like this computer, this phone, these things all originated first in somebody's mind, and then somebody made a series of choices to actually go and implement and create these things. And Steve Jobs is a billionaire because of it. Bill Gates is a billionaire because of it. You can see that all the way down the line. And if you look at, what do executives do? What is the purpose of an executive in a company? In a large company, you have VPs and executives, and what do they primarily do? They make decisions. That's primarily what they do, is they make choices. Now, you don't always know if a choice is right or wrong, but you understand that when you reach a crossroads, a decision becomes a deciding factor. So there's so much power in a choice, in choosing something, that you literally alter your destiny every time you make a choice. And so here's another example. Say you're hiring somebody or you're interviewing people, and you have two options, right? You have to look objectively at both sides of the equation, right? If you choose one candidate over the other, your experience over the next however many years is going to be drastically different as opposed to if you choose another one. So, and this is why if people come up against certain decisions, and they can be really, really hard, really, really difficult. When you come up to a really difficult decision, one of the things that I've done is, if something's really difficult, go with your gut, understand, what you think is the best choice, and just make it. Don't linger on making decisions too long. It's okay to sleep on decisions and think about it and spend time on it, but when you start philosophizing or analyzing something to death, just make the decision, just like that. Just make it. Because either way, either one could be right or wrong. In those scenarios, just make the choice and then deal with the consequences, because the consequence could be positive or negative based on what you choose. But ultimately, when you start to understand that every time you make a decision, you're driving the future, you're shutting off one possibility and you're opening the door to another possibility, that's essentially what choice is doing. You're opening up the door to possibility and you're shutting the door to another possibility, right? And vice versa, right? Depending on what choice you're making. And so this is why it's so powerful, because the universe is always listening. God is always listening. There's always something there to reflect what is going on, what you're thinking, what you're believing. And your choices reflect also in your reality, what you are thinking, because your thoughts match up with reality all the time, it's just it's the way it is. I mean, your reality will align to your thoughts. So understanding the power that you have every time you make a choice is really crucial to understanding that what you do and how you impact your own future, you impact your own reality. It's like a choose your own adventure book. I mean, you're essentially, every time you choose something, every time you make a choice, you're altering your destiny bit by bit by bit. And so I got into this theosophical discussion, or kind of philosophical, kind of one and the same when you get into this, where it's kind of that fate versus destiny. And I think it's like, your fate is what would become of you if you were not making the choices, if you were just letting things happen, right? But every time you make a choice, you're choosing and becoming closer and closer and closer to your actual destiny. You are choosing because you drive your destiny. And this is why it's so important to understand that the results that you want, you literally have to create them. You have to create them. Nobody else can create them for you. You have to create the results. You have to generate the impact. You have to generate the response from people, right? It's all self-generated. So what's really powerful and important to understand is that when you make a choice and it alters your destiny, you understand that the impact on other people is also part of that choice. So you are literally changing the entire world every time you make a choice. And a choice is, it's like a synaptical on-off switch, right? You're turning off one way of thinking, which is like one set of possibilities, in order to open up the door to another set of possibilities. So it comes down to like creating possibility. You're using your choice as a mechanism for opening up possibilities and of experiences and things within your universe, because your choice is really, it all really comes down to this idea of possibility, in that you're experiencing reality in terms of what's possible, right? I choose this or I choose that over some because of some possibility you want to be with that person, or you want to choose that person for whatever reason. You're shutting off one possibility in exchange for opening up wider another possibility. And so that's really what choice is and what choice does, because what happens is it's all happening in here, right? It's all happening internally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And so what's really happening is you're opening up your you're opening up your ability to think wider in a certain way towards a certain objective. You're opening up that ability to achieve a specific objective, and shutting off, the alternative, or shutting off, something that you believe would be contrary to that objective. And so that is inherently the power of choice. This is what makes us human, and this is also what gives us our ultimate power. This is really the core of our power. So that's why this is such an important module. This is why I kind of go right into this right off the bat, understanding choice, understanding the reality of impact that it has on our life and our reality. So every time you come up against a choice, remember, you have to look at both sides. Remember, there's always a lot of times there's a lot more. It's more than two. It's more than just polar black and white. It's usually a spectrum. There's usually a spectrum of thought, right? And so there's a lot of implications of choosing any which thing. But as soon as you choose something specific, you start to narrow down and start to dial in, your manifestation of that experience or that achievement or whatever it is you're trying to create. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you on the next one.